I wasn't supposed to be there that late. The message had come around 8:47 p.m. Hey, sorry to bother you this late, but something's leaking in my basement. Could you take a look? It was from Mrs. Carter, my neighbor. We weren't close. Just the usual polite nods, occasional small talk. She had moved in a few months ago. Lived alone. Quiet. Mysterious in a way that made people curious without realizing it. I stared at the message longer than I should have. Then I grabbed my toolbox. Her house felt different at night. Too quiet. She opened the door before I could knock. You came, she said, almost like she wasn't sure I would. Her voice was soft, but something in it felt tense. Yeah, you said there's a leak? She stepped aside, letting me in. It's in the basement. I tried to ignore it, but it's getting worse. I followed her in. The house smelled faintly like lavender, but underneath that, something else. Damp, old, unsettling. The basement door creaked when she opened it. Careful, she said. The light flickers sometimes. Of course it does. I forced a small smile and started down the stairs. Each step groaned under my weight. The air got colder with every step. Thicker. By the time I reached the bottom, the light flickered twice, then stayed on. Barely. Where's the leak? I called out. No answer. I turned around. She was still at the top of the stairs, watching me. Back wall, she finally said. Near the shelves. Something about the way she said it made my skin crawl. I walked deeper into the basement. Water dripped steadily somewhere. Top, top, top? The sound echoed too much for such a small space. I found the source. A cracked pipe near the wall, just behind a row of old shelves stacked with dusty boxes. Yeah, I see it, I said. It's fixable. No reply. I crouched down and started working. Wrench. Tighten. Adjust. Normal stuff. But then, I noticed something strange. Behind the pipe, there was a section of the wall that looked different. Not concrete. Wood. And it wasn't just wood, it looked like a small door. Hidden. Almost like it didn't belong there. My hand froze. Hey! I called out, trying to sound casual. What's this behind the wall? Silence. Then, her voice. Closer now. I was wondering when you'd notice. I turned slowly. She was standing halfway down the stairs now. Not smiling. Not blinking. Just watching me. There's a door here, I said. I know, she replied. My grip tightened on the wrench. You want me to check it too? For a moment, she didn't answer. Then she took another step down, and another, until she was standing just a few feet away from me. That's when she asked it. The question. The one that made my chest tighten. Did the previous owner ever tell you what's inside? I blinked. What? You used to talk to him, right? She said. Before he left. Her eyes didn't leave mine. I felt a chill run down my spine. Yeah. Sometimes. Why? She tilted her head slightly, and for the first time, she smiled. But it wasn't a normal smile. Because, she whispered, he told me never to open it alone. The light flickered. Once, twice, then, darkness. And in that darkness, I heard something, from behind the wall, a soft sound, like scratching. Darkness swallowed the basement whole. For a second, couldn't even breathe. Hello, I said, my voice barely steady. Mrs. Carter? No response. Then, click, the light flickered back on. She was still there, standing exactly where she had been. Not moving, not blinking, just watching me. You heard that, right? I asked. Her expression didn't change. Heard what? I swallowed. The scratching behind the wall. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she slowly turned her head toward the hidden door. Oh, she whispered. That. My chest tightened. That? I repeated. You say that like it's normal. She stepped closer. Too close. It didn't start until last week, she said quietly. At first, I thought it was rats. Another pause. But rats don't knock. As if on cue. Top, top, top. 3 slow knocks. From inside the wall. I stumbled back, nearly dropping my wrench. Yeah, okay, nope. That's not normal, I said. You need to call someone. I did, she replied. And they told me the house has no hidden rooms. We both looked at the door. It was definitely there. Old wood. Faded. Almost blending into the wall. But now that I'd seen it, I couldn't unsee it. Maybe it's just hollow space, I said, trying to sound logical. Pipes, airflow. Then why does it sound like something is trying to get out? Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. She stepped past me and crouched in front of the door. Wait. What are you doing? I said quickly. She ran her fingers along the edges. There's no handle, she murmured. No look. Nothing. Yeah, that's usually a sign to leave it alone, I replied. But she ignored me. Another sound came from inside. This time louder. Scratch, scratch. Thud. I flinched. She didn't. Instead, she leaned closer, almost like she was listening. Do you hear that? She whispered. I hear enough to leave, I snapped. Look, I'll fix the pipe tomorrow morning. In daylight. This is not something we mess with at night. She turned to me slowly. And if it stops by morning? I frowned. What? What if it only happens at night? She said. What if this is the only time we can find out what it is? Another knock. Harder this time. Bang! The light flickered again. My heart started racing. This is a bad idea, I said. A really bad idea. She stood up. Close again. Too close. Then why are you still here? She asked softly. I didn't have an answer. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was fear. Or maybe it was the feeling that whatever was behind that door was already aware of us. She reached out and pressed her palm against the wood. The knocking stopped. Instantly. Silence. Her eyes widened slightly. It reacts, she whispered. Yeah, I said. That's exactly the problem. Slowly, she turned, her head toward me. What if? She hesitated. It's not trying to get out? I frowned. Then what is it doing? She looked back at the door, and her voice dropped to a whisper. What if it's trying to let us in? Before I could respond, the wood shifted, just slightly, like something on the other side had pushed against it. Hard. A thin crack appeared along the edge of the door. Dust fell from the frame, and from inside, something cold rushed out. Not air, not wind, something else. The light above us burst. Pop. Darkness again. And this time, in the pitch-black silence, I heard it clearly, right next to my ear. A voice. Finally, I froze. Every muscle in my body locked in place. That voice. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even clear. But it was right there, right next to my ear. Did you just... I started. Shoo! Mrs. Carter's whisper cut me off instantly. Don't move. The basement was still completely dark. No light, no sound, no nothing. Except breathing. Not mine, not hers. Something else. Slow. Heavy. Too close. My heart started pounding so hard I was sure whatever was in that room could hear it. It's out, she whispered. The words barely left her lips. What do you mean out? I hissed. No response. Then, a faint glow. My phone screen lit up as my trembling hand pulled it from my pocket. The dim light barely reached a few feet ahead. But it was enough. The door, the hidden door, was open. Not fully. Just enough to leave a dark gap. A space where nothing should exist. And yet, something had come through. The air felt wrong. Cold, but not like temperature. Cold like something was watching you from the inside. Did you open it? I asked. No, she whispered. A sound came from behind me. Soft, like bare feet on concrete. I turned the phone slowly. Too slowly. Every instinct in my body screamed at me not to look. But I did. Nothing. Just empty space. I exhaled shakily. Okay, maybe we're just freaking out, I said. Maybe it's... The phone light flickered. For half a second, I saw it. A shape, standing in the corner. Too tall. Too still. Then darkness again. I saw something, I whispered. I know, she replied. My throat went dry. You saw it too? No, she said. A pause. Then, I felt it pass me. My grip tightened around the phone. We need to leave. Now. I grabbed her wrist. Cold. Freezing cold. She didn't resist. But she didn't move either. Wait, she said softly. Another sound. From the stairs. Step. I turned. The phone light shook in my hand as I aimed it toward the staircase. Step. Something was there. Halfway up. Blocking the exit. I couldn't see it clearly. Just a silhouette. Too thin. Too long. And slightly bent. Tilted its head. Slowly. Unnaturally. My breath caught. That's not... I started. Don't... She whispered sharply. Don't talk to it. Too late. The thing moved. Not walking. Not running. Sliding. Down the stairs. Fast. I grabbed her hand and pulled. Run. We stumbled backward, nearly falling as we rushed toward the far end of the basement. Away from it. Away from the stairs. But there was nowhere to go. The only other exit was behind us. The open door. I turned. No, I said immediately. No way. Behind us, the thing reached the bottom of the stairs. The light from my phone hit it, and for the first time, I saw its face, or what should have been a face. Smooth, blank, no eyes, no mouth, just skin, except for one thing, the faint line, across where the mouth should be. And then, it moved. That line started to open, slowly, stretching wider, far too wide. A sound came out. Bit. Broken. You opened it. My stomach dropped. Behind me, Mrs. Carter spoke. Calm. Too calm. It's not talking to us, she said. I turned slightly. What? Her eyes were locked on the open door. It's talking to you, she whispered. Before I could react, something grabbed my shoulder. Ice cold. Unnaturally strong. And then, everything went dark.